Do you think they could be out there?
Marcello, let's forget about being afraid.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for our weekly film show. We're starting with a movie starring an Irish actor who caused fan hysteria with his TV series Normal People. Paul Mescal is in Carmen, directed by Natalie Portman's husband, French choreographer Benjamin Millepied, who worked on Black Swan. I'm here with film critic Lisa Nesselson. Hello, Lisa. Thanks for being here. Well, in a moment, we'll talk about some of the other reimaginings of Georges Bizet's 1875 opera. But first, let's have a look at the film.
Tú me has querido. Ahora es momento de que me dejes. Tu momento de volar. Ve a la ciudad de Los Ángeles.
I wouldn't say that I was aiming to make it a more feminist story. I simply, I had an early conversation with Peter Sellers, the stage director. I told him I was planning on making Carmen, and his reaction was wonderful. It was very helpful because he really said, well, if you make Carmen, you have to completely reinvent it because the story is really uninteresting, and it's the fantasy of men who knew nothing about women. I think that's what he said. And so it was interesting to say, okay, why am I interested in Carmen, and what is this story? And I think I just led with the instinct of wanting to have characters who are really human. I think in the opera, she is quite a fantasy. She has all these attributes of expressing her sexuality and her strength, but she's really not loved by these men. She wants to be possessed by these men, and in a sense you never feel that she experiences true love with anyone.
My name is Carmen.
Carmen.
Mi mamá me dijo que eran como hermanas.
Hermanas de vida y hermanas de muerte. Tus pies saben bailar. Son mariposas.
That freedom that they claim she expresses in the opera is a freedom that these men are afraid of, and she gets murdered at the end of the film. So my story, really, my idea was just to simply make her more human and actually meet a man that's different from the rest, and with whom she has a transformative experience.
They're gonna find us. You know that, right? You belong here.
Me pertenezco a mí. Y a mi corazón.
Well, Melissa Barrera plays the leading role about a woman's desperate journey to escape a murderous cartel in Mexico. Lisa, there have been a long line of screen adaptations of Carmen, haven't there?
Oh, yes. The most interesting film version is no doubt Otto Preminger's screen adaptation of the 1943 Broadway musical Carmen Jones, which featured a black cast. The play was set in a parachute factory for the war effort, with prize fighting taking the place of bullfighting. It starred the prodigiously talented Dorothy Dandridge and Harry Belafonte, who died only recently. And back in 1983, Spanish director Carlos Saura choreographed and directed a flamenco version in which the lead dancers recreate in their personal lives the fates of the fictional characters they're dancing. Now, Saura's film was a substantial draw here in France and the highest-grossing Spanish film in the U.S. until Pedro Almodovar came along. I think what's interesting to this day, and the director hinted at it about Carmen, is that she has agency to burn. She has no gender confusion whatsoever. She's all woman in the traditional reading of the term. She knows what she wants, and it's the men who are lost in her sensual orbit. Now, I haven't seen the film, but lots of critics are saying Millepied probably should have stuck to his day job. There's a lot of bad puns out there about false steps. So for opera lovers, all I can add is If you take on an opera dance, you should definitely enhance. An old story, but by the way, is by Meremy Bizet. But clunk, then thud. Most say the film is a dud, 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 dud.
Maybe we should start releasing your songs. Maybe they'd do better than some of these releases we talk about. Anyway, next, it all started as a 2010 video posted on YouTube that soon racked up an astonishing 33 million views. Marcel the Shell was a stop-motion animated sensation that became a feature film 7 years in the making that went all the way to the Oscars. Let's take a look at Marcel the Shell with shoes on. Jenny Slate is Marcel and Isabella Rossellini, his grandma Connie.
Marcel, how long has it been since you've seen your family?
I couldn't tell you, but a space in my heart gets bigger and louder every day.
Dean, do you know how long?
That's 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice to know. There's so many places that they could be.
Marcel the Shell with shoes on. You're beautiful.
There must be so many others like me.
Lisa, it's an understatement to say that you're a big fan of this one, isn't it?
I only got out of bed this morning so I could come in and share my enthusiasm about this film. So, thanks to YouTube, the character recognition is very high, even though the character is very silly. A shell with one eye, a tiny mouth, a squeaky voice, and shoes. And we can't see his heart, but figuratively, well, it's big as can be. Now, Marcel and his beloved grandmother, Connie, live together in a house that's being rented out on Airbnb. Marcel and Connie were part of a delightful, ramshackle family of small critters one wouldn't ordinarily assume can get around on their own or have personalities. But one day they all vanished, and without their help as a family and a community, Marcel has been forced to be extra ingenious to survive. And that ingenuity adds the aw factor. Marcel has plenty of self-esteem, which is an admirable quality in a shell, but Marcel is lonely. He wants to find the 20 or so missing members of his family. Will modern technology help? Will the long-running American investigative TV show 60 Minutes lend a hand?
And this took 7 years to make.
Indeed, that's because the hybrid technique requires first they do the voices for the 85-minute runtime, then they do an animatic, which is a rough-drawn outline that moves, then filming all the real-life backgrounds without Marcel or any other stop-motion characters, so like just a sofa, and then animating Marcel frame by frame. It is handmade, and we sense that.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing that. Next, the 47th edition of the Annecy Animation Film Festival opened earlier this week, just 3 days after its picturesque lakeside home was rocked by a violent knife attack. 6 people were injured, including 3 young children. And out of respect for the families, the festival cancelled the opening night outdoor screening that would have been held close to the site of the attack. The mayor said on opening night that art and culture celebrate life, and as the world's most important animation festival, the Annecy Film Festival is a huge celebration, isn't it?
It is. The French alpine town of Annecy is synonymous with animation. Now, I first went to Annecy back in 1994 when a company called Pixar was dabbling in short films that took forever to make because computers were so much slower and computer memory was so costly. It was an incredibly exciting time in the transition of animation, a field that has just advanced in leaps and bounds on the digital front. For example, depicting water or strands of human hair just looked plain wrong, and that has changed. Now it looks real. And they've continued to champion hand-drawn work and stop-motion work. And the animation market that runs concurrently is incredibly important for the whole world.
And there are cartoons for kids, but also more serious work.
Absolutely. You know, it was an uphill battle over the past few decades, but now it's widely understood that animation isn't just for kids and that it can be a powerful technique for addressing really tough topics that would be too hard to take or too hard to film as traditional live action with actors.
So what are some of the highlights of this year?
Well, Mexico is the guest country. 88 Mexican animated films of varying lengths are being shown, and I love some of the categories, such as Mexican archaeology, stories that have never been told before, and Mexican animators working in Hollywood-style television. Let's take a look at their teaser. Now, understandably, more and more animated shorts are addressing climate change. One competition film has the title Common Seas Blood Type Plastic. That's not a topic anybody would have anticipated, I think, when Bambi, completely hand-drawn, was showing the beauty of the forest and the talking critters in it. And there's a lineup of queer animation to celebrate Pride Month.
Okay, well, Annecy Film Festival is on until the 17th of June. Thank you so much for joining us, Lisa. We're going to leave you now with images from the new superhero film The Flash, which premiered in LA this week and is out in France. Non-binary actor Ezra Miller stars as The Flash, directed by Andy Muschietti. This is Miller's first public appearance since apologising in August for their various arrests and controversies. Miller received a rock star welcome at the premiere. We'll leave you with a look at the film. That's it from us. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
If I can't get back, there might not be a future. What's the play? Batman, what do we do?
We try not to die.
It's not Clark.
My name is Kara.
I'm Barry. We're Barry.
From North America to the southern tip of Patagonia, join us for a look at the latest political, economic, cultural and social news from the Americas.
Inside the Americas, presented by Jeannie Godula on France 24 and France24.com.